I'm here in Flatrock to find out how one local physicist is taking self-sufficiency to the next level. Let's go have a look. David Goodyear, so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Well, this is your homestead and you're going to show us around. Where should we start?
I think the best place to start is right over here at the greenhouse.
Excellent. What makes it so special?
So you'll notice that compared to a conventional greenhouse, there's only, I guess, glazings or glass on one side. So it's highly insulated everywhere, which means that it's able to retain heat way through the winter, into spring, all times of the year. The beautiful thing is about it means that we can grow year round here. It doesn't cost us any heat in the winter at all. It's all about the way that the greenhouse was designed, storing heat from summer in the ground and using it through the winter.
How do you store the heat from the summer into the winter?
In the summertime, a fan system pushes hot air underground and it comes out the other end cool. So it provides cooling in the summer, and during the time that you're cooling, it's actually just storing heat underground. So it raises that ground temperature up and you're able to store enough heat to just weather through that cold winter.
So how much does it cost to build something like this though?
So at the time, I mean, I built it myself. So, you know, the labor costs are, I guess, is hard to include, but material costs from start to finish was somewhere around $12,000. If you start factoring in the cost of, I guess, growing food year round, you know, the operational costs are low, but you end up getting food year round. So I estimated that, you know, it had a payback of maybe kind of 5 to 6 years.
Let's have a look. Oh, wow.
Cucumbers, 4 varieties of tomatoes, 3 varieties of peppers, we got some fig trees, you know, lots of cool stuff.
Even some ginger over there?
We got some ginger root growing, yeah. Over the past several years, I've looked at, you know, the possibility of creating a model lifestyle that other people can follow and that maybe they can learn from, that, you know, that we don't need to necessarily depend on things coming from outside of the province. You know, we can depend on what we already have here, and we do have the technology. I mean, you can see it here in the greenhouse. And like, for example, these tomatoes were started in April and they're already ripe. And this is not, you know, the greenhouses of the past that everybody talks about. This is a technological, I guess, wonder of sorts. We can use it to grow year round, all kinds of crops, along with being able to store things. So outside we have strawberries. These were put in last year, and we propagated somewhere around 100 plants here, which gives us strawberries through the whole year.
They're really far along.
They are, actually. This has been a great spring for growing strawberries, especially. It's been quite warm. We got lots of potatoes growing. Potatoes a staple. Like the old traditional Newfoundland diet, we grow 4 different varieties, 2 different blues, a red and a white. And this is really just a storage crop. So this all goes in the cellar, and we store it for about 8-9 months.
And you have beans and stuff down there?
One of the goals we set last year was to try to be self-sufficient in peas and beans for the year. So this is all potatoes also, so we eat a lot of potatoes. We produce about 500 pounds a year here and down below.
500 pounds.
500 pounds, but you know, you need it if you want to have
Jig's dinner.
Security and lots of jig dinner. And you'd be surprised, I mean, you can do lots of things with potatoes, right? Under this row cover here, there's a celeriac with celery root, which is not something that's traditionally grown, but it has a flavor of celery, but stores really, really well in the cellar. So there's a lot of garlic here, 700 onions grown in the garden. Having variety, so we got a red, a white, a pickler, a leeks, shallots, we got it all. And you'll notice, of course, that everything in the garden has protective covering. And the protective covering is really about extending season, so you can actually extend into the spring, you can actually extend into the fall, and it also helps protect from pests.
So a lot of this you'll take out and then you'll put in your root cellar.
They all get pulled late November. So it's about leaving it in the ground as long as you can so it's still alive, then basically storing it for 6 to 8 months in the cellar.
Can we see your root cellar?
Yeah, we can go have a look right now if you want.
Chilly.
Yeah, it's about maybe 7 degrees in here now. Oh, it's like 20, probably 22, 23 outside. The beautiful thing is about it that it'll stay pretty cool all year. In the summer, the temperature does go up a bit, which makes it hard to store things. But really, you're looking at keeping things from freezing through the winter. It's only 7 by 7, but you know, we're able to store like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds of food in here. They were a technology that was tried and true for such a long period of time. Like, you question why it is that we're not using passive storage methods like this when they work like really, really well. And they don't depend on the grid.
So you also live in a passive house. Can you explain the features of your home?
So a passive house is quite different than a normal home. Normal homes tend to be insulated to R20, which means that the walls are fairly thin. That's one of the defining features of a passive house. Super insulated, so the walls are like this thick, so it tends to help retain heat. The windows are what they call triple glazed rather than a double glaze, so they tend to hold in heat better, but they also, I guess, capture more of the sun's rays. The house is kind of arranged so that we end up passively gaining heat from the sun. So in the winter, when the sun is low in the sky, on the back of the house, the windows are all large. So that captures a lot of the sun, holds in the heat. And on the north side, you'll see that the windows are a lot smaller, because although we might want to see out at the north, really we lose a lot of energy through there if the windows were big. So it makes
Same as your greenhouse.
It's the same as a greenhouse, exactly. So once again, passive design principles, right?
So this is your chicken coop, but it's more like a chicken hotel or a chicken resort. It's really, really big.
My neighbor calls it the Hen Hilton. For obvious reasons, I think. So yeah, the chicken coop, is a great step in food security. You have, chickens that are going to lay every day.
How many eggs do you get?
We get about 10 to 11 a day, which is pretty good, right? There is this thing called chicken math. So chicken math goes that, you get 10 chickens, but then all of a sudden you want 10 more, and then you want 10 more.
Well, you have a great thing going here, David. Thank you so much for showing us around.
Yeah, I just want to say, I guess, at the end that, there's a lot of work, but the work is worth every bit of it. I wouldn't change anything for the world. And I do try my best to kind of, provide information and stuff to people. So if people want to follow along, they can go to Facebook and they can have a look at the Homestead at Flatrock. And we got all kinds of stuff we're posting, everything you've seen in the garden plus more. And hopefully, we can inspire people to do some of the same.
Well, tonight we're taking you to the community of Gambo, where one young family is living their dream. 2 years ago, Samantha Whitman and Nathan Gidge made a dramatic lifestyle change. They uprooted and bought a piece of land on a hunk of rock and turned it into Kingfisher Farm. Now they're growing organic vegetables and fruits and watching their son grow up in the great outdoors. Have a look.
That's good. We are a small organic farm in central Newfoundland. We're small on purpose. We do intensive growing of specialty crops. So we don't grow your traditional, I like to call it the Jig's dinner bag. There's obviously a place for that, but we've decided to go a different route. We grow Japanese turnips. We do specialty greens, 8 types of different tomatoes. So we don't do your typical beefsteak tomato. We do a bunch of hot peppers, black radishes, eggplant. We do a lot of different things with the aim of trying to improve the palate in Newfoundland for what's available and, trying to get people to experience different foods and different tastes so we can kind of open the door to a new food experience for people.
And I think what's different about the way that we farm is that we focus on the health of the soil. So we really put a lot of emphasis on creating a healthy ecosystem within the soil itself. And from there, we were able to grow really healthy and productive food. But without the soil being healthy, the food the food doesn't really come to
Yeah,
much.
it's all about soil sustainability and health for us. We built a farm on a rock quarry. That's what this place was before we bought it. All our beds are raised beds that we sifted by hand. We mulch. We do organic compost teas. We don't do any pesticides or herbicides because we feel that when you do that, you not only kill the harmful pests, you also can kill the helpful ones. So it's all about creating a balance above ground and in the ground. We don't feed plants, like Samantha said, we feed soil. So if our soil's happy, our plants are happy. We run a CSA, so a community supported agriculture program. There's a group of members who pay for their membership at the beginning of the year, and then we bring them fruit and vegetables the whole summer. And it's enough to feed a family of 2 plus a child. They get quite a bit.
Squash, melons, cucumber, tomatoes, peppers. It's really whatever's fresh and in season. It comes from the garden, goes directly in baskets and gets delivered that day.
The community supported agriculture model, it works both for the farmers and for the consumers. So it works for us because we have funds at the beginning of the season rather than at the end of the season when kind of the larger harvest happens, which allows us to invest into more things for the farm.
Part of why we do what we do is because both of us want to help. So we figured, okay, what's the best way to get our food into like the family setting? How can we feed the most people the widest variety of stuff? And the CSA just made sense for us. I mean, it makes sense financially. It makes sense to us on like an ethical, moral kind of thing in terms of we're providing people with healthy, affordable food. The other thing about it is we want to show people just how much food you can grow in a small space. Like we're not growing anything any bigger than a front yard in some of the places in St. John's. So it's all about showing people what's possible if you focus on the health of the environment and the soil rather than going out and buying a bag of fertilizer and throwing it on your bed and kind of hoping that does the job.
We're only working on 1/8 of an acre.
Yeah.
So if we're learning this much on 1/8 of an acre, we probably would have missed a lot of those lessons if we were looking at 10, 20. I mean, some farms are hundreds of acres. So what we learned was pretty substantial, and I really think we would have lost those lessons.
In my previous life, I was a high school educator and principal for a decade. And we kind of looked at each other one day and said, you know, if we're gonna do the farm, let's do it now, kind of thing. And we jumped right in. This is our second year. We decided we wanted to spend more time together as a family. We wanted to live a healthy lifestyle outside. We are not people who want a lot of stuff. We're very happy with what we have, kind of thing. So farming it fit for us.
Can I live on some down there?
I think our biggest why to it is our son.
I really fast.
Yeah.
He's been really our big motivator to moving into this lifestyle. He's active, he's so curious, he's adventurous, and he's dirty 95% of the time, which is for us, I think that's how you have a happy childhood, and I think that's really how we wanted to raise him, and the farm just made so much sense to be able to kind of bring him up with that.
Tomatoes.
He'll eat vegetables out of the garden. He won't look at them out of the supermarkets a lot of the time. So it's funny. He'll go up in the garden and gorge himself on snap peas and kale and all kinds of stuff, but he won't look at it if it comes home in a grocery bag. So
delicious.
And that's part of what we wanted to show with the farm is that it can be done together and as a family, and can be done sustainably.
Kale.
I think finally people are realizing, and government is realizing, that we need to start producing our own food, and we are in such a wonderful position to do that, I think. And, people always look at me odd when I say Newfoundland is in a good position to farm, but we have such a vast wealth of natural resources that help in gardening. If we have alkaline soils, pine needles work great. If you need micronutrients in the soil, our seaweeds are wonderful. You walk into our forests and there's so much to eat just by foraging. It's absolutely amazing what this province has to offer. And if we do things responsibly, working with nature and not trying to force, I think we're in a great position to do a lot of good.
Okay, my name is Tom Angiers, and I'm a commercial farmer here in Happy Valley, Goose Bay.
And how much property are you farming on at the moment, Tom?
We got 85 acres that we cleared from forest to field.
And how many years have you spent farming in Labrador?
Over 25. I grew up on a farm in Ontario, where I was a ninth generation farmer, and I farmed in different locations across Canada, which included Alberta. So we've done grain trials on our own farm. So we know that we can grow oats, wheat, and barley, no problem. We could probably grow flax as well. We grow a lot of potatoes, carrots, turnip, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, onions, kale, raspberries, strawberries, asparagus, and we grow Asian vegetables inside our greenhouses. It's all local, and we've branched out now with our new facility that we got support from the Department of Agriculture to put up a vegetable storage facility. And this has been tremendous in our go forwards position. So now we're able to supply product year round. We have a customer base through Cartwright and Port Hope Simpson on the south coast of Labrador. We have customers coming over from Labrador City to buy at our store here at the farm. We supply Northwest River, Sheshatshiu, and Goose Bay. And we also ship to 7 northern communities on the Food by Mail program. Okay, we're anticipating that in 2022, we will grow over 350,000 pounds.
So obviously you're showing that food production in Labrador is possible. Where are you located? Where is your farm?
It's 14 kilometers towards Northwest River Road. We're on Northwest River Road, but towards Northwest River. And we're still inside the town limits.
The Happy Valley Goose Bay. Right.
Yes. And our old farm, our previous farm, is 28 kilometers from here. And we were still in the town limits there as well. Our former farm property, we started there, we homesteaded it. There really was very limited agriculture in Labrador at all. We couldn't even rent a farm tractor. There was no machinery here to have access to. So we had to bring in all our equipment, clear the land. We built a 2-story house and a 2-story barn. And in our 5th year of production, we grew 250,000 pounds of potatoes and 2,000 turkeys. That fall, Department of National Defense put a sign all the way around their perimeter saying that it was the water was contaminated around the base and that you couldn't drink the water even if you boiled it. So CBC did a news report as the new signs were just posted that day and said, this side of the road, it's so contaminated you can't drink water even if you boil it. And on this side of the road, and they pointed at our farm, they expect us to buy vegetables. So we had to shut down our entire operation because we didn't want anyone to sue us for getting sick, or we had no idea what the contamination was. And then we commenced a class action lawsuit, which took 7 years. The lawsuit was successful. All the farms in our region got relocated. So I guess accessing land has been a horrendous challenge. We've got people in the lands section of the Department of Agriculture whose put a whole lifetime, a whole career in that department, disallowing people to have land to farm in Labrador. And it's so bizarre. When the Royal Commission came out in 75, they said that, you know, the best land should be set aside and commercial farmers should get a clear granted title to ensure commercial viability of agriculture in Labrador. And in 78, they said, okay, we're changing it. Nobody can even have land. So we wonder why that the province is only, and the number of the provinces using in our production, I think is a very generous number. But I estimate we're only at 5% of our dietary needs. And the reason is we can't own our land. We're the only province in Canada where farmers can't own the land. People actually, when they homesteaded Western Canada, they were given 100 acres and a clear title. They were given a donkey and $100 to go farming. They weren't discouraged from it. They were actually encouraged to do it. So people had titles and they had grants. So then when new land is opening up, I was involved in a couple of agricultural draws. 45 of us showed up, and there was a map and all the parcels were identified and how many acres and you had time before the draw to go and scout it out to see if you're even interested in farming there. So which I had done. So I had 3 choices that I would have accepted. When the draw came out, I was number 27 and I never got a chance to draw on the land. But the government put a value on that land. And at that time, it was like a 640 acre parcel for $30,000. And you got title right away, and it was like a loan, and you had to pay that loan back within 20 years. But you got title right away so that you could leverage that with the banks in order to develop the land. Right. So this land that I'm farming on belongs to the government. So when I put my house here or I put my buildings here, I'm putting it on government land. I'm building the government's buildings. I'm clearing the government's land to feed the government's people. And I go in debt and slave for years and years and years to do it. And it seems so bizarre. And I could probably count 30 or 40 or 50 people that applied to farm and got into it and seen how much money it's going to cost them and never owning the land. They just walked away. Okay, so we have to look at the market distribution, okay? And so like our cooperative and Northmart. Northmart is a Winnipeg company. The co-op is now a Sobeys company out of Quebec. So when we look at the quality of food that's sent here, like I can buy Macintosh apples, 3 pounds in a bag. I can buy 8 different qualities. Right now, today, I buy number 1s and number 2s. But I've seen here in the grocery stores, number 6 and number 7 qualities, like Macintosh apple is supposed to be red, not green. It's supposed to be sweet, not bitter. So Sobeys and the big grocery chains are buying this lower priced product and telling people in Labrador and the North that this is what you're going to get. This is how much you're going to pay. And this is what the trucking is going to cost you. And this is how many millions we're going to make in profit. And you have no say in it at all. I bypass Sobeys. I bypass Loblaws. I go straight to the terminal and I access the highest quality only. Is we got support to put up a vegetable storage building. And by the time we got the approval, we didn't plant crop that year to fill the building because we didn't know if we're going to get approvals or if the building was going to be done. So we got the approval, we went really fast and we got the building done. So now I was sitting in the month of October and November with a brand new building that was empty. So I knew what the market was. I've done it before. I brought in high quality produce and distributed it, and I was successful at that. So I said, okay, well, I'll do it again, because our customers, when we went roadside to sell our own crop, they're constantly asking for more things. So for us to sell potatoes and turnips roadside, it would be very limited in the sale. The grocery stores were selling much more than us because they had the full line. So we went to the grocery store and said, look, we could supply you this high quality, we can store it and we can handle it and we can supply you. And they said, no way. They did not want us to succeed at that. And in 26 years, I know for a fact, they do not want to see agriculture exist in Labrador. So what's always hurt the farmers in Labrador was no market. For 25 years, I was throwing product away. I would grow it, I would sell as much as I could, but as soon as it got too cold, I would give it to the livestock, put it in my barn, feed it, put animals, get some manure back out of it, or put it in compost. So that's been the problem. So now that we do have our own market, we can grow a bigger crop this year because we're not begging the grocery stores to take an armful of groceries from us. We're able to ship full pallets to the coastal communities. We're able to buy from other farmers. We sell bread that a lady makes. We sell bread. We have a lady who makes banana bread. We sell it for her. We have another lady who's, we buy all her eggs, 100% of her eggs. We have another lady, we buy her soap. And we've got people that are going to be planting crops that don't have time to go roadside, but need a market, and we'll sell for them. So the need for food here is enormous. Okay. And we're at the mercy of outside populations. So until we get through our own production and get it into the communities and get it into the families, they're suffering. They're suffering because the quality that's getting there, 50% of it goes in the garbage. And the federal government is supporting the air freight to ship it up to the communities. Why are they shipping garbage? 99% of the time, we're getting high quality in there at a very reasonable price. So the necessity, and you look at fuel prices, in Labrador City the other day, I watched the news and it was over $3 a liter. Our food can get very, very expensive coming in here. And we need to combat that. We need to have local production, but we need the department, we need the premier of this province to go to the ministers and say, look, stop discouraging people from farming in the province. Jerry Byrne, he's very outspoken. He did more in his short term than I've seen in a long time from a minister of agriculture. He really was pushing the transplant program. And this year we've got 85,000 transplants coming. They've got to meet the farmer on his terms. The land is here. We need people in the department. We need the director, the land director, and all these guys who have been hoarding the land and hanging on to it until they retire. And I don't know, they must smile and say, well, I made sure nobody got any land in my 30 years. And that's what's going on. Agriculture needs to be given the priority, and the best land needs to be given priority. Okay, so we can grow the food here because this whole region was ocean bottom. This whole region doesn't have rocks, but the water table is high. The water table is underneath the sand and the water table is high. So we've got ocean bottom soil and we've got high water table. We have long days. We have more growing degree days than they do in St. John's. That's why the airport in Goose Bay is here, because we don't have rain, drizzle, and fog. We have a lot of sunshine. We have days that can get pretty hot, but not really hot for very long. So we have warm days and cool nights, and the cool nights change the texture and the quality and the sugar and the flavor of the vegetables. So we have a perfect growing condition. We don't have the Colorado potato beetle. We don't have the viruses and diseases. This is virgin ground. I knew a farmer in Prince Edward Island got his potato seed from Red Deer, Alberta, because it wasn't subjected to all the chemicals and the viruses and diseases and the treatments. And we could do that in Goose Bay. We could be growing potatoes and exporting them to other parts of Canada.